Hello, people. I am. Oops. We can't forget the mic. Every time I do that, imagine I have this mic and I keep forgetting it to put it down. But here it is. I'd like to say hi to everybody. Today, Jeff Nadeau just called me and said that being I was talking about Gigantes, he would love to come on. We're going to be talking about three brothers, all vastly different. And one just passed away, 98 years old, and Mario. And when he passed away, he was described as in the newspaper, low-level member of the Genovese family. And we'll explain to you exactly why he wasn't a low-level member. And we're going to speak about the priest, and we'll speak, of course, about Chin. But before that, I want to get back to something. I'm just going to wait for some more people to get in here and let me say hi to some people. John Cantoni, or Cantone, let's see what you have to say. Finally, I was rating this one. All you hear is Gotti, Gotti, Gotti on YouTube. The Chin and his brother were very smart men. They were very smart men. You're not joking. Brian Press, I'm going to wait until 2:30. Well, 2:30 is here, Brian. Thank you for waiting. Anthony says salute. Anthony, we're going to talk about you in a couple minutes. Joker knows best. The Chin is very interesting. One of the most interesting out of all the gangsters and all the heads of the families. Lee, time. Okay, wrong time. Okay. There's some serious allegations against the Chin's brothers. The one that was the priest. There absolutely is. And we are going to discuss that, Don Vito. Okay. Honor thy word. No, one brother, Mario, retired, former captain, acting boss, should be in his 90s. Unfortunately, he just passed away. It's one of those things you don't hear about, even though he was a very high-ranking member of the Genovese family. And the brother Louis is a retired priest, Catholic priest and activist. And he's something else too, according to certain people. But let's not convict him, but there are allegations out there, and we'll get into that. The Truth, how you doing, my man? Captain, you are interviewing Lee, are you interviewing Tony Pep's son? I cannot tell you the things I'm doing, Captain. A lot of these things are surprises. We are at the point here that I was supposed to bring on Gianni Russo, and you had some backstabbing scumbags go behind my back and cost me that interview. So basically what I'm going to do now, I'm going to a much bigger platform soon, end this show. And once I'm on that bigger platform, people aren't going to be able to fuck me out of things. Now they can do it. I'm pushing 4,000 subs, but you're going to see this show grow tremendously over the next couple months. And once the platform is powerful, they cannot come after you. People will come to me for interviews. I won't go to them. And that's the plan here, people. Danny Stories, how you doing? Okay, let's see. Blomick, Denver. Okay, it's me, Don Vito Allegations. Yes. Mount Collar, how's it going from across the pond? David Cameron, you're here. How you doing, my man? Jane Perry, like always, you're here. Appreciate it. Diddy, you're here like always. Let's see. It's me. We just call you Sonny. Don't speak to me. Good afternoon, Lee. Have a good weekend. Be safe, pal. Well, I'll try to be as safe as I can. We got snow here on the ground in Texas. What the hell? Let's see, Anthony. What paper described him as low level? He was a cap. We'll talk about that, Anthony. Some dumb reporter. These reporters, they Google shit and they don't know what's going on. That's what comes down to when it comes to certain mobsters. The Chin got all the credit, but no one ever talked about his brother. Tommy Stiggs, appreciate you showing up. Federal Hill Bill, you were right. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. Okay, let's see. James Doherty, welcome once again. DP, when and where did the news about Lewis come out? Hey, listen, you guys always ask me when and where. You were asking me when and where. How many people told me I was wrong about the death of Albert DeMeo? I got an awful lot of apologies in my emails. Okay, I left Sammy the Bull for you, Lee. Okay. Let's see. Albanian Syndicate, welcome to Shape. Welcome. I got your email, Shape, and after the show's over, give it a little bit. I'm going to eat some barbecue chicken, and then I will talk to you. Westies. Hello. How you doing, my man? Matt Collier. We got Kay. Good evening. Kay, how you doing? Boy, a lot of yous are in here already. What the hell, guys? Give me a break. Look at this. Best chat room around, period. Plain and simple. You guys dust every other chat room in this genre. Christopher, how you doing? Rude Irish, how you doing? Okay, so I also want to talk. Now we got a few more people in here. You never know how many's coming during the day, but it's Friday, so we'll see. Okay, I want to talk about Anthony Raimondi. As people know, I will be meeting Anthony Raimondi one-on-one. Anthony Raimondi has been putting out a lot of false accusations the last couple of days. I think he's getting cold feet, people. He's finally going to have someone sitting across the table from him and calling him on his many, many lies with evidence. No shouting match. It's going to be just a regular debate with evidence. And it's amazing how much evidence the military has given me. So we are going to be exposing Anthony Raimondi. So yesterday he called up and he was trying to switch the days. And then he's been going on Stacks and saying that I've canceled 3 times on him for this show going on out in California. That's a lie. The only people that postponed the show was the company, because they had, all of a sudden, they got some passes to go to a major event. And so what Anthony's doing right now is he's trying to plant the seed. So I'm hoping that he shows up, but I think he's starting to get cold feet. I'm going to be there no matter what. Either Anthony Raimondi is going to be sitting in a chair across from me, or I'm going to be debating an empty chair. But it's all coming out, Anthony. So bring your stuff. Have everything that you're saying you have. Don't bring those medals from the garage sales, please. Documentation. Okay? And we'll talk about all this stuff you've been talking about. You know, I don't even really care about the Mafia stuff. I'll be totally honest with you. What I care about is the Stolen Valor stuff. The Mafia stuff is a bonus. But Stolen Valor is a whole different ballgame, especially when you make money off of Stolen Valor. So we have to remember that. He made quite a bit of money off Stolen Valor. And now he's telling everybody he's selling his car because he's broke. I'm sorry to hear that, Anthony. I hope you're not going to use that for an excuse not to show up. I mean, you made a commitment. Your car fare's paid. Your plane fare's paid. There's no reason for you not to go. Our show. So this is where we judge what a tough guy gangster he really is. How many times have you heard him say that if anybody gets in his face, he's going to beat their ass and all this stuff? You know, we're not here to beat asses. We're going to have a very good debate is what we're going to have, Anthony. That's it. I'm hoping that you prove me wrong. I'm hoping that you prove to me that you were in the military. It would be the best thing. I don't take pride in going after you and calling you a fake. But, you know, it's kind of like you calling me a child molester. You know, it's like you got to prove things. You don't just say things for the sake of saying things. And the time is here. Now it's time. And you're going to see a lot of advertisement coming out over the next week and a half for this, people. And that's pretty much it. Okay. I'm going to bring on Jeff Nadeau now. And Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Lee, how are you? Congrats on your interview. That should be a fun little debate, I feel.
Yes, I'm just hoping he doesn't get cold feet. That's all. You know,
well,
and
all you can do is show up, you know.
Yeah, I'll be there no matter what, and I'll be introducing all the new evidence, and it's up to him to show up. I'm hoping he shows up, and Jeff, I'm actually hoping that he proves me wrong.
Who would have thought Lee Cole, the investigative reporter? I wouldn't have thought that. How about
Yeah.
that?
And sometimes when I say things, I get attacked because people don't want to believe these things. And that's the funny thing lately.
Well, all
And
you can bring is the facts, Lee. You know, it's his job to refute it. We'll see if he shows up.
yep, exactly. And so what's going on with your show? I hear you're doing really well.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Really enjoying doing videos. You know, I just put a good video out on some newer mob stuff, some stuff that happened in the 2000s. You know, just put out a video or two a week, recorded. You know, seeing how they do. And you know, the good thing for me now is people I think realize that I'm going to put good content out. They've subscribed and you know they're watching them. You know, the watch time's well good, the view duration, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you just keep the eye on the ball, keep putting out content, and people aren't enjoying it.
Okay. On the puppy, people, she's had several tests. She's an older dog. She's 9, but her breed usually lives to be 14, 15 years old, and that's what I'm hoping. And we'll know more. Uh, but we got bloods done. X-rays came back good. There's no cancer in the bone or anything like that. You got to worry about that with the dogs, especially when they get to a certain age, a certain breed. Now it's more than anything. They took some extra blood tests, and they're hoping the liver was off somewhat, but that could be normal in an older dog just from not drinking enough water. She was kind of dehydrated, so we're going to hope that her liver is fine. That's the most important thing right now. She's sleeping right now, right in this room with me. But anyway, Jeff, I want to talk to you about some very interesting brothers, the 3 brothers. And I'm going to just put their faces up, people. So just so you have an idea of who I'm talking about. And of course, we got Vincent. Everybody knows who Vincent DeGen is. I mean, he was a legend, let's face it. And but we're going to talk about Louis Ginja. How would you pronounce his last name, Jeff?
Gigante.
Gigante. Okay. I just want to make sure that I get it correct. I don't want to people say, hey, dumbass. And this is Mario, one of the most underrated gangsters ever. I read in the paper, Jeff, and I read in the paper that he just passed away. And a reporter said a low-level member of the Genovese family. How wrong are they about the low-level member of the Genovese family?
Yeah, I would say they were wrong on that. There are actually other brothers as well, Lee, that were involved
Yes.
in life. One, there were 5 total, and one obviously went into the priesthood, which we'll get to. But yeah, to call Mario a low-level guy, I would think that's a little off. I would say he was pretty powerful in my eyes. He was a terrific earner, and I'll tell you right now, he had no issue hurting somebody if he needed to. And you know, he would obviously take some control of the family once Vincent Gigante was brought away. So yeah, he was very rich too. Had a lot of money, very powerful. Had connections with certain councilmen and certain state senators. Had Roy Cohen as his attorney at one point. Very big in garbage.
And he lived in my area, by the way, Yonkers. He lived there in the Italian area. A lot of gangsters lived in Yonkers back in the day, and he lived there. He moved there with his family, and he lived there for the rest of his life. And you are right. You know, people don't realize that Mario was a member. He ran the a lot of the industry out there, the garbage industry, and for a long time.
Yeah, you have a couple of chief principal people in the Genovese family and the Gambino family, particularly Mario Gigante, Jimmy Failure, Jimmy Brown. He was a huge waste hauler. There's an individual, Ali Shades Malangone. He was very high up in the trash hauling stuff as well. Matty Ianiello. So yeah, that was a big industry, and that was where the real money was made. Because you have to remember, Lee, that in cities like New York, they can charge 2 times the national average to collect garbage. And as you know, there are thousands of businesses that use garbage pickup. So it is a huge industry. And you know, you can really charge whoever you want. You have a monopoly over the business. So yeah, it's big money. And Mario there was a reason he was super rich. The Gigante family will never have to work, really, even the extended relatives. They're all, and you even look at like waterfront industry, they're still very powerful there. So yeah, they set a real nice groundwork for their family.
And Mario controlled it in Westchester, Rockland, and Orange County, which are the biggest, well, are the most very wealthy counties on the outskirts of New York City. And he finally got nailed for racketeering in 1996. But and he went to prison once before that for beating up a guy that owed him $210,000. And when a judge asked him what he had to say, he says, "Your Honor, I never hit the guy, and the guy owes me no money." That's all he said in court. And they sent him off to prison. And then he came back out, and and because of the chin being that crazy role going on, you don't hear about guys like this. These are the guys that are really the backbone of the mob. Guys like Mario. Would you agree with that? Or
Yeah, and the thing about that Mario, what was so important about him is alongside Quiet Dom Cirillo, who was one of Vincent's closest allies, Mario was what we would call the messenger. I mean, he was dictating information directly from Chin to the rest of the family and to other members. And that's how Chin was able to keep that perusing act up for so long. People like Quiet Dom and Mario Gigante were integral in the success of Vincent Gigante. And one of the reasons he was able to do that were people like them. There's also an interesting story about his involvement with Roy Cohn. And look, I will urge you to realize Vinny the Fish told this story. Vinny the Fish is an informant, so we take everything he says with a grain of salt. But he told the story about Mario Gigante actually tried to bribe a juror on one of his trials through Roy Cohn. And, he would also say that that never happened either. But, the Gigantes were Cosa Nostra. Even the priest, he wasn't in the mafia, but he was still very willing to tell tall tales. Those are his brothers. He was never going to put anything out there. And, they were all very close.
And when he went on trial, he beat the case in 1998.
Yeah.
And he only got paid. He was ordered to give back $1.2 million, and he got fined, I think, $40,000. So
bucket to him.
He was kind of untouchable after all, because they thought they had him. But in the end, he had to retire, walk away from the sanitation industry. But can you imagine how much money he walked away with?
Yeah, and you realize, kind of the connections that certain mobsters had. And this is what separates some of the leg breakers to people like Gigante, someone like Scotto and the Gambino family. These guys had terrific political connections. He even had a state senator lobby to get him out of prison. I mean, these are deep-seated connections that these guys have, and it allows them to really kind of do more than the average mobster. And this is what makes people like Gigante so powerful. You put Vincent Gigante on the high rung of Mount Rushmore of the American Mafia. It's just not on no one's really on that level. And you had not him, but also Salerno and everybody underneath. Remember, Lee, Gigante took over the Greenwich Village crew, which under Vito Genovese was one of the more powerful crews, and it ended up being one of the more powerful crews in the history of the mob. They owned Greenwich Village, and that's one of the more ritzier parts of New York until this day. So they had Manhattan on lock, and the Gigante brothers were very integral to the success of it.
And they grew up there, and they grew up in that part of Greenwich Village. I mean, they were there as kids, and they grew into it, which is, they didn't even have to leave the area. They grew right into the Genovese family in reality.
It's funny too, Lee, because when we look at Vito Genovese, when he instructs Chin to go after Frank Costello, if we remember, he bottles that hit completely, screws it all up.
Yes, he does.
Costello ends up surviving. In general purposes, that would be a death. I mean, screwing a hit like that up, high profile hit. Vincent Gigante kind of screwed up from the beginning, but ended up really riding it into the sunset and being one of the most powerful people ever. So, he's just an incredibly smart guy. I mean, the ruse that he had worked. It kept him out of jail for a long, long time. And he really, due to screwing that up, probably shouldn't have been around.
But in reality, when he screwed that hit up, he scared the daylights out of Costello, and
he retired.
He retired.
Yeah.
So, Costello was like lucky to be alive.
Kind of worked.
But that was Genovese. I'm sorry, not Genovese. That was Gigante with his whole life.
Yeah.
With the luck.
No, he had a lot of luck. And Lee, that's the thing with a lot of these old school guys. We've done our podcast to sit down, and that's something I've always learned with all these guys. Tony Ducks, Corallo, the way he got his name was due to ducking convictions. Tommy Lucchese saw him duck like 10 convictions. He says, this fucking guy ducks everything. Tony Ducks everything. And that was this, you have to be lucky as a gangster like this. If you don't go to prison and you commit tons of crimes, that's part of the lure, getting out and staying out and not being convicted. And people like Gigante always seem to be lucky, really, since they were kids.
And Mario was also the acting messenger between Vincent Gigante and the other family capos.
Very important.
So he
Very
was
important.
a very powerful man. And it's the amazing thing is I'm not a mob expert, and when I learn these things, I love when I learn these things because it's fascinating stuff. But we're going to go on to another Gigante, and not in a good way. We're going to go on to the priest. Supposedly, he was called a priest and an activist, but in reality, he had some charges on him and some children coming forward saying that he made them perform oral sex on them. And what do you know about that?
Yeah, this case came out pretty recently. It's been over the
Yes,
last year or two. And, it's important that we make it clear. There are allegations. We'll see if they're
exactly.
proven in court. And if they're true, Louis Gigante should die in prison. It's pretty simple. Louis is always an interesting guy because while he was a priest, he was very active in the South Bronx, in those areas, and he also acted as a lapdog for his brother. He would constantly tell the media he's sick. He called him a mongoloid at one point. Actually, you love your children the same though, and he kind of held the water for his mother and for everybody that made excuses for Vincent. But yeah, he wasn't a member of the mob, but he surely acted as if he was. But yeah, he did some. I mean, he did some things in the South Bronx that are obviously honorable, but there are some things that he did behind the scenes allegedly that are pretty pathetic and sickening. So yeah, he was pretty much the liaison publicist for Gigante. He was always out there. My brother's a good man. And, he was actually kind of powerful, Louis. He became a councilman at one point
Yes,
in
he did.
New York
He
City.
was,
So he kind of took on that, political role. I'm the, the big time priest in the area. And, he tried doing things for the community. But there's a story that he was a slum landlord at one point in the South Bronx. You know, was he a priest? Yeah, but this wouldn't be the first time that a gangster group used religion to kind of veil some of the secret things going on behind the scenes. And I always felt like, all due respect, I'm a Roman Catholic and I'm very faithful, but there are some people that I think exploit the religion, and it wouldn't, it surprised me that he behaved that way.
and let's remember too, it's like you said, until he's convicted of this, he's innocent. And
Yeah.
but there are accusations coming out, and main reason is because they expanded the law where people from further back can come forward, and that's what happened in this case. Supposedly, it happened way back, and it comes forward, but it's he seems to have the same type of Teflon like his two brothers do. When you really think about it, um, it's going to be hard to prove a case like that. I was part of some of those cases, and they're just very, very hard to prove.
Yeah, and as we know, I mean, the Catholic Church does everything they can to suppress things, right? I mean, their goal is prove it or not, we're sweeping it under the carpet. But yeah, he's always been a very outspoken man. He's very old at this point. Keep in mind, Mario Gigante died. He was 98 years old.
98, yeah.
I mean, that's old.
And the brother died young. For that family has those long life expectancies, but the brother died young. But he was in prison, and prison has a habit of killing people when they're younger. And when I say I was involved, let me rephrase that.
Right.
I was involved with the WWE and the scandals with their children there, and what happened and how hard it was to prove a lot of this stuff. I wasn't involved with any church stuff, so let me get that. I had to rephrase that. So, would you say that those guys right now, are there any other Gigantes that are involved right now, do you think, with the family anymore? Because the Genovese family is still active.
Yeah, so I mean, they're very active. You look at really the antithesis of the mafia began with Giuseppe Morello hundreds of years ago, way back in the late 1800s, and now you look at it today; it's still a burgeoning crime empire. Andrew Gigante's still around. He's the son of Vincent, and interestingly enough, Vincent had a stepson called Vincent Esposito. He's, from what I understand, pretty active. I don't get too much into active people nowadays, but yeah, there's still some remnants out there. And Lee, if you know, when Vincent was on trial, he actually took the weight of most of the charges to protect certain members of his family, because the judge basically said, "I'm going to start indicting people in this family." if you don't cop to all this. So they end up getting him in the end, and his family was somewhat spared.
How much time did Vincent wind up spending at the end of his life in prison?
So he went to prison. He's about 15 years or so. He died, as you said, fairly young. In his life. I mean, he was only, I don't have his exact age. I think it was maybe mid 70s. I mean, he wasn't too old. I guess in the grand scheme of things today, but he originally got 12 years, and then they hit him with kind of taking some raps on everything else, and that kind of did him in because he was old at that point. He was in poor health. So, by 2000, when did he die? 2005, I think. That's when he died.
How much of the insanity do you think was actually real? Do you think that he was really a mentally ill man?
No, I don't think any of it was. I think he was actually quite intelligent. I think it was all a ruse. And there's a huge evidence of that. I mean, throughout some of the surveillance and stuff, this was the case that the government would make. They would make that how would an individual of his mental capacity, most individuals of that mental acuity can't hold relationships, let alone be married and have like things like that, long lasting relationships. The big thing that they would try to prove is why are gangsters showing this guy respect seemingly on surveillance? Why is he acting certain ways? They would get wiretaps of him talking to his wife, right? Where he would kind of have these conversations where he sounded very lucid, right? Very normal. And after a while, there would start to be little things that he would do that kind of started to give some of it away. But he had started this back in the 60s. He would check himself into the New Jersey town that he lived in. He would check into the mental facility. And this was an elaborate ruse that he would use. And, he was a boxer for many years, Lee. He was actually quite a good boxer. He boxed at MSG and that kind of stuff. So maybe he had a little bit of, let's say, a CTE type of thing. I don't know. I can't answer that. But I think for the most part, he was pretty intelligent.
And I read a week before he tried to kill Costello, his brother was busted. It was kind of funny. And they found a bunch of axe handles and baseball bats in the back of his car. And, he got arrested for it, but they let him go. But that was a week before the hit. I mean, so it's obvious that this family was always really deeply involved, including Mario. Which is, I find it fascinating because they lasted so long. And then when the brother Mario went to on trial, he also tried to use the mentally ill capacity thing. They documented a lot of things where they brought out he had mental illnesses, and he was found innocent.
You can't say that. And I've always said, I think the two most interesting people I've ever read about in this life were. Say what you want about him. He was an incredibly fascinating person. Greg Scarpa. I mean, the shit he did during his career was wild. And Vincent Gigante. I mean, they're just incredibly interesting guys in their own right. They all have different roles. But yeah, I mean, you have to admit, Lee, this is a smart fucking idea. I mean, and you put it on for like 30 years. He was willing to piss on himself in the middle of the street. He was willing to look like a complete invalid to keep a ruse up. And the government just didn't seem to understand it for a long, long time. But yeah, Mario, all these guys, incredibly smart, incredibly rich, and pretty powerful, quite honestly.
I don't know what this is right here, but he actually got Stephen Crea a lenient sentence. He filed an appeal on murder charge. Who is he talking about? I don't know who you're talking about, honor thy word. If you can put that up there, maybe I'll revisit that.
And Stephen makes an interesting point. He was fooling legit psychiatrists, and that's exactly right. Like that is that's intelligence. Like fooling someone for that long, playing that character for that long. It's it worked. I mean, he was around as a high-ranking person in that family for 30 years for the most part.
Okay. Mid-70s is old, Jeff Nadeau, you fool. Dude, why do you got to be a dick? Seriously, why you got to call the man a fool?
To me, about 85, 90 is more old to me. But
yeah, but we have a president that's 80. We have people running for president that are in their 80s.
Sure.
Come on, guys.
I know people that are 90s, hundreds that are very, very sharp. Hey, Lee, one other thing about the Genovese, they're a group that definitely have a lot of older people around still. I mean, you look at Mario, was 98. Kid Blast Gallo, Albert Gallo, Joey Gallo's brother, is still alive. I mean, he's in his 90s. He moved over to that family. Quiet Dom Cirillo, he's still around. He's in his 90s. These gangsters, some of them, I mean, they've lost it a long time.
And you think about Gallo, he was involved with one of the most vicious wars where they literally were going out killing anybody associated with Gallo.
Lee, I would, and I'm not kidding. I would pay 10 grand to interview Albert Gallo right now. 10 grand. That would fascinate me. You could imagine the stories he had. He'd never talk, but I mean, that life that he's had, I mean, 60, 70 years in that life. I mean, it's fascinating.
Well, that's why I did an interview and we talked about the guys that were, I'm sure you've seen an interview when we talked about Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
And I found that very fascinating because I was actually able to speak to people that were still connected and remembered him and grew up on that street. And it was just fascinating stuff about Joey Gallo. If I can interview any gangster, it would be Joey Gallo.
Yeah, and Joey, I'll tell you this. I think Joey would be willing to very much talk about his. Joey Gallo was you see some of the, one thing about the Irishman that I found, interesting, and it was actually quite factual, is when Joey Gallo walks into the Senate committee in the film, and he's smoking and he's talking shit to Kennedy. Like, that was real. Like, that's the kind of guy Joey Gallo was. He was your modern day, kind of. He was willing to talk to the media and that kind of thing. He
was actually John Gotti before John Gotti was John Gotti.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah,
he dressed nice. He didn't dress like John Gotti, but he dressed nice. He was a good-looking man, and he was different though because he was willing to go with other cultures and colors, and that's why when the assassination happened of Colombo, right?
Yeah.
Well,
basically, yeah.
That was done by a black man, but they don't know to this day if it was Joey Gallo that did it. They assume Joey Gallo did it.
I will say, and the problem that Joey Gallo had is he was one of those revolutionaries where he was not willing to play by the mob's rules, and the mob is going to eliminate you. It's very simple. But I've always been under the reason to believe there's actually a lot of historical basis. The individual that killed or mortally wounded Joe Colombo died a few years later, but he put him into a vegetative state. Lee, that individual was, according to many reports, a homosexual, and he frequented a bar run by the Gambino crime family, interesting enough. And a lot of people have always wondered, I think the Gambinos almost tried to pin that on Joey Gallo, but a lot of people believe it had something to do with the Gambino family kind of engineering that. Joe Colombo was another person, out of control, doing the anti-Italian league, that sort of thing. So, yeah, that Johnson guy, I think a lot of people assumed it was Joey Gallo, but in my belief, I don't believe it was. I think it was the Gambino family behind that. Just like I believe the Gambino family was involved in killing Albert Anastasia. I don't believe Carmine Persco and Joey Gallo killed Albert Anastasia. I just don't think. He didn't match the descriptions. The descriptions were guys in their 40s and more rotund. Both Gallo and Persco were in their 20s at that point. Now, they both took credit for it, but I think we need to do, and people like O.C. Shorts have really went into depth about this stuff, which that's one of the reasons I like his channel, because he's willing to maybe go against the opinion of most and really kind of prove and debunk that actually didn't happen.
I'm in a position now where I have a lot of these people from these bigger shows contacting me, and they've all said the same thing. And this is why it's important to put up quality shows and talk about actual stuff. And Jeff would say this because Jeff puts up serious stuff. So do you think that right now the best thing to do is I'm changing the subject a little bit with all this insanity going on with the fighting and stuff. Shouldn't people just stop it and see if they're good enough to put up regular stuff and be successful?
Well, I think the thing about YouTube, Lee, is that everyone's able to do ultimately whatever they want. I do believe, though, that if you want to truly advance and have a huge channel or at least 30, 40, 50,000 subs, I think you have to pivot and have quality content that all people can enjoy. That's one thing about my channel is if you enjoy mob or OC history content, you're going to enjoy my stuff. I'm not going to dirty up my feed with nonsense because the thing about the nonsense stuff is there's a select group of people that enjoy it or find it funny. But for the most part, if you have 10 people, 8 of them don't really care about it ultimately. They may foul it once in a while, but they don't care about it. And I feel like I have a much bigger piece of the pie to find those people. And I've said before, like this YouTube is not my end goal. It's part of my portfolio that I'm involved in. But I've told you, Lee, I'm working on something bigger than anyone's ever done in this business. It's that simple. It's bigger than Bet David, Franzese, Gravano. I guarantee you that.
Okay, tell us what it is.
I can't. I will not. I've signed an NDA. I can't talk about it. You'll know
And
about it in the summer.
And see, that's the thing, people. And I learned this with the Gianni Russo. I even mentioned it, barely mentioned it. I know who did it. They went behind my back and they cost me the interview. And this is the scary part. This is the scary part that, and I wouldn't say for anybody in my room to do it to anybody. Let people have their damn interviews. When you do stuff like that, devious shit, especially the trolls, it's just plain wrong.
I will tell you this: it is not an interview. It's a long form, future kind of thing. This is not just a 1 or 2 week thing. This will generate. This will generate for me, I think, the biggest thing I've ever done in my career. So, we've been working on it for like 8 months now. It's been a long roll. We have a lot of people involved, investors. It's a very serious thing.
And I know exactly what you're talking about because I have these opportunities too. And I'm a little bit pissed at myself because of my age. So I'm going to try to do the best I can. But this is when I wish I was 40 years old.
Lee, when you can get to the point where, and I had this for a long time, the goal was always to build an audience and then get paid to do it, not by other people. Companies pay you. And it seems like you're finally having some success. And that's the greatest gift when you can get people to pay you for your content.
Federal Hill says, Lee Cole, I went to get gas today, and the guy in front of me told the clerk to give me $10 on pump 3. So I said to him, where the hell are you going to? Pump 4? Okay. So I guess I kind of get that, but Grant says, Adam, you're the only man I know that well-versed that these things save me. The heck's okay. Let's take some good questions, mafia questions up here, guys, not bullshit. The Gallos were no saints either. They killed them for innocent people at a restaurant as revenge. What is he talking about? I don't know what he's talking about there.
Well, the Gallos, listen, I don't think anyone will say they're saints. Joey Gallo is a violent individual.
Yes.
Listen, to be in the mafia, you have to be violent. Okay, Lee, you've seen a show that I've talked to you about. You watched it. You love it. I mean, Gomorrah, okay? Yeah. They're willing to kill anyone. Kids, whoever, listen, these are bad people. Now, the American mafia is not as violent, but yeah, people like Joey Gallo, they were willing to kill people. I'm not sure what he's talking about there per se, but yeah, they were incredibly violent for sure.
Well, that's the thing when I studied on Roy DeMeo, and that's the great thing about studying on people. Everything's fresh. And when I studied on him, I realized what a horrible human being he was. And the funny thing is, his Albert's wife said that his final victim was Albert because of, it all came to that point where Albert, right before he killed himself, he had to file for bankruptcy. His wife left him. He had a couple DUIs. His life was totally out of control. And he decided to take what he thought was the easiest way out. And, it's, when you hear, we try to glorify the mafia. Let's say that. We have a lot of people here trying to glorify, but we have to understand to be in the mob and to survive and to be a boss, you've got to be a killer. Would you?
I've always felt bad for people like Albert Gallo. It's clear that he had to deal with, a lot of the sins of his father, which was his book title. I was always very saddened about the life he had to live. And that's something we don't talk about enough. some of the people out there that have really had to struggle due to what their fathers did or people that were in their families did. I want to quickly touch on, Lee, one of the commenters, Honor Thy Word, talked about when Louis Gigante was involved. According to a lot of people, there was an individual in the Genovese crime family, Jimmy Napoli, one of the biggest earners they ever had, was very big in real estate. And Lee was very close with Fred Trump, actually. He at one point, Lee, told Fred Trump, tell your son to stay out of the casino business. He'll never make it. He's got to deal with people like me. It's not going to work. But Jimmy Napoli and Louis Gigante were thick as thieves at one point. And according to a lot of people, Louis was supposedly bringing in Jimmy Napoli stuff to prison, food and things of that nature. And they tried to indict both of them for that. And the charges ended up getting thrown out. But that commenter mentioned that's a pretty funny story, I remember.
Hey, people, I'm going to throw an invite down there. If anybody wants to come up here, I got to know who you are, to ask Jeff any questions while we got him here. Feel free, and that includes anybody. But as long as I can see your face and I know who you are, otherwise I'm not going to let you on. That's the only time I'm going to drop that link, people, so you decide. Okay. So your last video that you did, what was it on?
I did a video on a guy called Anthony Aiello. He was an up-and-comer from Queens. He was part of a crew called Cafe Giannini, one of the most violent farm teams in the history of the mob. They basically worked under the Sicilian Zip faction and some of the Bonanno people, Gambino people. They were a group of kids. To me, the most violent farm team. Vito Guzzo, Paul Ragusa. Aiello was a chronic gangster. He started killing people for Vincent Basciano, and he was involved with a very high-profile murder of a guy, Randy Pizzola. And the feds were able to crack the case after Joey Massino flipped and went back into the yard and started asking Basciano directly about the murder. And they basically went on tape and said, I had Ace do it. He was the one that did it. Ace ended up going on the run, and they caught up to him. He got 30 years for the murder. It was a pretty violent one, too. He left him laying in the street in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And Vincent basically said I had him killed because he was an annoying fucking kid. He wouldn't shut up. He was always running around talking about how he was a gangster. And, Basciano was really the last high-end boss. There's a terrific book by Tony DeStefano about Vinny Gorge. It's very well done. And Joey Massino got him really hemmed up, and now he's doing life.
We got somebody here that wants to ask you a question.
Okay.
So
I'll
listen,
do my best.
I'm going to bring him up. He's kind of handsome, really not, but what the hell?
Well,
look at Jeff's face. Oh my God.
What questions do you have to ask Jeff?
How big is your wiener? No,
no comment.
So, Ace Aiello, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't wait to chew. You have to chew when you come on my show.
Listen, I'll stop chewing.
Okay.
No, you know what it is? Why I do that is because it's like a girl. You know what I mean? It's like coming on your show is like meeting a girl. When you meet a girl and you're talking to her, you want to put gum. So, if your breath's a little stank, you know what I mean? It takes care of that. So coming on your show, I want to make sure my breath is right. So I throw in a little gum and then, but you're right. I shouldn't be chewing like a gavone.
What's the question?
You just asked me something. So the question is, who Ace Aiello? Who was his old man?
Antonino Aiello, big heroin trafficker. I talked about that, actually.
Well, no, I didn't. I'm asking. I didn't hear it. So
yeah, he had a father, Antonino. He owned a couple of pizzerias, and he was moving a ton of heroin and was jammed up in the 80s, went on the run, went away. He's still serving life. He's still alive, actually.
And what's Ace up to? He got 30 years?
Yeah, he gets out in 2030.
He's young enough. He's about my age, right, Ace?
Yeah, and you have to think, keep in mind, I mentioned the Giannini crew. They have a lot of kids coming out. I mean, Vito Guzzo will be out at some point. Ragusa's in and out. Ace is out.
Ragusa just got sent back, right?
Yeah, I believe he did. And now some of those kids flipped. Some of them live down in Florida. Tom interviewed a guy,
Frank Fortolino.
Yeah, he was in that group. Very violent people. Very violent kid.
Joey, do us a favor and swallow, buddy.
Why is everybody so? Because here, you know what I find hilarious about that is if I was an avatar, right? Would I be taking more heat for chewing gum or being an avatar?
It's called etiquette.
No, but if I had an avatar, then I could play with my fiddle all day, if you know what I mean, on the screen.
I like this A-Rock 1776 for some reason. Lee, you are truly the best of RatTube.
So A-Rock must be your nephew.
Well, my daughter's here. I might as well have my nephew. And soon you're going to be my son-in-law.
Now,
and then Jeff's here with his magnificent penis. I mean, we're lucky with that.
Jeff, enlighten us a little more. You know what I mean? You got to come on. Like the shape, is it like, you know what I mean? Are you seriously? Come on, man, give us something. You can't just come out and say you got a big one and then just say I don't want to.
I don't remember saying that. That's been put in I don't know who mentioned that. Well, listen. Let's just say I don't kiss and tell, Joe. So I'm gonna stay away from that one. But here's what I'll do. When I come up to see you fellas, I'll bring my girl with me, and you can see.
Listen, hopefully that doesn't happen right away, if you know what I mean.
DP, I'm going to ring DP. This is actually pretty interesting.
DP, I love DP.
Okay, I doubt many of the mob families have the type of wealth that's comparable to the Russian oligarchs are worth. And I agree with that. You literally have a gangster at war now with another country. I mean, so the Russians are very wealthy, but only.
Yeah, but you know what? When you get to the level of like the oligarchs' money, and you're Italian, I don't know if you would be considered a mobster more as you would be like maybe a politician or something like that, or like it's just mobsters. The days are over of a mobster having like that type of wealth, because the government right now, the way they can control people's money, can a guy have 100, 200 billion? He'd have to be in another country, basically.
Well, here's
it doesn't work in America like that.
Here's a mob question for Jeff. Jeff, who do you think out of all the mobsters had the most money in the end?
In the end, well, most. It's funny. I saw something on the biggest drug dealers ever, and it was amazing how many of them didn't have the money at the end. In the end, I think you could put someone up there. The people we just talked about. I mean, Vincent Gigante's family will never work again for the things that he was able to do over the years. Tony Salerno made. If you ask me, I would tell you he's the biggest earner in the history of the mob. That's simple. He made probably $1 billion in his career. I mean, that's simple.
Now, you want to read Don Vito right here?
Yeah.
You see it?
Exactly. He's right about that. I mean, they're transnational and they're huge.
Yeah.
Don Vito's like an encyclopedia. He corrects me when I'm wrong, and I don't question him. So it's just certain people like that. Okay, DP. Yeah, the oligarchs are the incredible influence, and many of them are owned in part to some very large. Yeah, we know that, but
very powerful oligarchs.
So what's happening with them? They're getting their money tied up now because of this. You're
going to see
that's going on.
I got a feeling that he's not going to wake up one morning, because you can't start messing with those guys' money. And this is what happened when Yeltsin took over Russia. They started doing the same thing to Gorbachev, and the next thing you know, Gorbachev was out of a job and Yeltsin was in charge. And that's what they're trying to do now, I get the feeling. They're just trying to bring them down. And whenever you go to war and get involved with a country, it's not easy to go into another man's land and conquer it, unless you're France. They just give up. So, but in general, the Russians, you figure they would have learned by Afghanistan.
Yeah, that was a bad look.
And now here we go, and we got this going on. And I'm trying I'm trying to stay away from the politics today, because we got some good, we got some good questions. Any other questions that you want to ask while you have Jeff's knowledge here?
I always enjoy talking to Joe. That was a good question about the Aiello kid. He's an interesting kid. Okay.
And people, Joe, I'm going to tell you right now, that is no wig Jeff has on it. That's the wig. I want that wig company.
I never said I never said he has a wig on.
I didn't say you.
No, I'm saying, I thought you said Joe. Yeah.
Yeah. But I want that. I want to know the name of that wig company, if that's a wig.
No
I'm
way.
sorry. How can you do that? You can't do that if it's a wig.
No, it's plus like it's
Yeah.
I just don't do it when I'm here. I'm just hanging at my house. I'm watching
Somebody
basketball.
mentioned that you look like a real tiny guy between me and Joe.
Yeah, see my a lot of people don't understand. Like my seat is a little lower. It's the way it's positioned. I'm not.
So Jeff, this is a question that is not about the mob, but
Yeah,
how much weight did you lose, and give people an idea on like what you did to lose the weight?
I was 130 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just got out and did something every day. Started walking, then I started running. Now I run 2 miles a day. But it really comes down to when you eat and what you're eating. I eat once a day. I fast for 20 hours out of the day. I only eat in a 3.5 hour window. I cut out sugar. I don't eat fried food anymore. I eat a lot of salads, vegetables, fruits, chicken. Good, very seasoned stuff. I eat well. I don't eat bad. I just don't eat late at night anymore. And I run every day.
Thank you,
So
Joey.
it's pretty easy. I mean, if you just eat during a certain time, you'll lose weight. It's pretty easy.
Right, because a lot of people struggle with that.
Think about this. Most people go, a pretty long time without eating anyway. Because remember, you go to sleep, that's 8 hours before you eat, you're 12, 13 hours in. Fasting's not as hard as you think. Now, I do it very crazy. I do 20 hours, which is a crazy fast. But, when I eat, and when I'll eat tonight at 6:30, I eat a very full meal. I have a nice salad, a nice meal, all that stuff. And then I don't eat again until the next day. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question for Jeff. Jeff, how tall are you?
I'm 5'8".
Yeah, and I seen you in that boxing match.
5'8". I didn't realize they stack shit that high.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't look like Tattoo running around the ring. You look like you were.
Yeah,
actually, you were taller than Jersey Jerry.
Yeah, he's about 2 or 3 inches smaller than me.
Everywhere, from what I hear, Jeff.
No, he's a foot smaller in that department.
I can't answer that.
All of a sudden, you're going to start a feud, and Jerry's going to go, "No, that ain't true."
So, Jeff, I have a question for you. If I could ask Lee, how did you get involved in like being a mobologist or like the whole,
I just did it. I wanted to do a show. I always blogged about it, wrote about it, always enjoyed it. And I thought, you know what, 2021, I lost the weight in 2020, 2021. My resolution was I'm going to do something that I always wanted to do. And one thing I always wanted to do was start a podcast about mob history. So in April of 2021, I threw the pod out. People started listening to it. Now we're about 50 episodes in. And, as I've told you and Lee and everybody, when you have a platform, you need to take it in different directions. I put it on YouTube. I have it on Twitter. I have it on iTunes. I have it on Spotify. I have it everywhere. So
you should put yours on Pornhub, I think, too, since you said, that might work.
Maybe I will.
I went on Pornhub looking for him the other day.
Not on there
put
yet.
Jeff Nadeau. I put Jeff Nadeau in.
Not yet. Soon.
So if you pop up, Jeff.
Yeah, that'd be cool, Jeff.
That was a good question, Jeff. I'm going to ask you a question. Okay, so here you are. You're all about sports. You're doing the gambling and everything. Yeah. Did you always have a fascination with the mob, or did you say, "Hey, look, was it a business move?" Like you remind me of a business guy.
I mean, I always like when I was at Barstool and when I would do blogs and stuff, I would always write about the mob, and I noticed that a lot of people found it interesting. And I came up watching the movies and reading. I have a ton of books. I probably have 70, 75 books. I just read. Like I enjoy learning about shit. And it's just always been an interest to me. I don't really like true crime. It's more of like the organized level. So I just did it and started doing it. But no, it's not a business decision. I have a passion for it. I think it's where my career will take me next. That will be kind of the decider. I always enjoy gambling. I've been gambling since I was like 7, 8 years old. But the mob stuff, I think I want to write a book someday about a certain subject. I have a couple different ideas. So
this question's for both of you. 10 years from now, where are you going to be?
Well, I think the next thing I'm working on, I think it's going to be my biggest thing yet. I think it's going to put me into the living room of anyone that enjoys the mob and gambling in this country. I mean that. I'm not screwing around here. I promise you. And that's where I think the next 10 years will take me. I'll probably living abroad somewhere. I've talked about that. I want to live abroad.
You're going to be living with abroad somewhere?
Abroad.
Okay.
Abroad.
Okay, you're going to be living abroad with abroad.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, Joe, 10 years from now, and don't say you're going to be married to MB.
Yeah, what would we be, like 70 then?
No, I'll be 57.
Okay, in 10 years from now, where will you and MB be?
Whoa.
Well, here's what I'm hoping will happen. Honestly, I probably won't be alive. But okay, NB will be able to put flowers on my grave because I'm just looking at sheer numbers. My old man was 58. So
Yeah, Mickey Mantle worried about that because his father, his grandfather, and great-grandfather died in their 30s, and he wound up living to be 70-something. We're in a new time of medicine, Joe. I mean, it's not like, we have to remember that,
Yeah, I mean, if I'm alive, all right, so maybe you could answer because you have children, Lee. If my wife is going to have a kid within the next 6 months, what could I do as far as YouTube?
Well, the first thing I would do if I was you is I would go get a blood test for the child.
That would be good.
And if it looks like Jeff, we know that she's been watching his show.
But the kid is not rumors. Mine.
Huh?
I'm sending my wife to Africa. I wanted to get a 7-foot black man. So to be able to take care of, you know what I mean? You got to think. Be smart. I don't have good genes. As a matter of fact, I don't have any jeans. I wear sweatpants all the time.
Hey guys, you want to hear something funny? I was watching this show the other day where this guy was making fun of Kevin Hart. It was it was actually an older show, and he's looking at Kevin Hart and goes, "Look, Shaq's dick is here."
But hopefully I would be honestly doing the same thing on YouTube and collecting baseball cards and sneakers.
Jeff, I'm going to ask you that question about Shaquille O'Neal, actually. Shaquille O'Neal is one of the most fascinating characters ever because this guy has marketed himself so well. And he's doing it now, his marketing. And guys that big, they usually outgrow their heart, with the height and stuff, and they die young. But this man, I mean, he just did a total overhaul on his body. The guy looks fantastic. And he's getting wealthier now after his career is over.
He's involved in everything.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him recently on Nelk Boys, and it was really interesting. Like he's involved with everything, like ads, and he's a DJ. Like a lot of people don't know that. He goes to these festivals and DJs. Yeah. He just enjoys and does shit he likes. And I know Joe knows a lot about basketball. I've always said, like in my lifetime, like in the 90s, I don't remember, outside of Jordan, I don't remember a more physically imposing individual in the league. Like he was so terrific to watch. And he's a good guy from what I heard. He donates a lot of money. He's very kind to people.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of the things.
He goes into a store, a toy store, and he'll just stop some kid who has a bicycle, and he'll go, "Hey, take it up to the register. I'll buy it." And I've seen him do that so many times.
He's one of the people, like, I equate him in sports to what The Rock is in entertainment. He's like this ambassador to just everybody. He's nice to everybody. I've never heard one person ever say, "I hate Shaq." Like, who can hate Shaq? Like, he's just a good guy. He's smart. He's funny. He's entertaining.
And you know what's funny about Shaq is he's a sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Like I get so it's like it's weird because like he's he supports like the black movement, but he also supports the cops too, because he's like a cop, you know what I mean? So you really don't hear him weighing in on all these cops white cops shooting people and stuff like that. He manages that pretty well, because normally people will be like, "Hey, you're either on this side or you're on that side." You know what I mean? And they'll ostracize you for that. But
that's part of his marketing. That's part of his marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clever marketing.
Because I remember Charles Barkley got a little stuff like a couple of years ago. He had this show about like people in America, and he took some heat for that. But Shaq just kind of says, "This is what I enjoy, I believe in," and he doesn't really weigh in otherwise. And that's, as Lee said, a good marketing move. I think when you The one thing I'll say about politics, I had made mistakes in the years of my career doing that, where like I'll sit on one side and like I can have my own personal opinions, but I try to now keep all that out of what I do because I don't want to ostracize a certain group. Because as Michael Jordan said,
Right.
Republicans buy sneakers too, right?
Mhm.
Everybody
Yeah.
is like they're all the same, you know. And this genre we're in, like there are people that are younger and might have liberal views. There are older people that might have conservative views. I just want to talk about the subject at hand, and that's it, right? And you do what you want with it.
Well, this is actually kind of funny, Jeff. I don't agree with it, but it's funny. I got to put this up for you. Jeff looked better fat. His wig fit better. Come on, you got to admit that's funny, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was that weight, I was comfortable, but I wasn't healthy, right? I don't want to be 40, 50 years old like that. So
No.
I feel much better in my life now. I have a lot more fun and live more. So,
And
you can tie your shoes without getting out of breath.
As a fellow fat guy, I can tell you, waking up in the morning is two different things when you're healthy and when you're not.
Oh yeah. Yeah, people don't, it's underrated, man. You know, you get up, you have pep in your step, you want to do something, you want to take on the day. And
I hate when they say, "Oh, she's nice and big," or "He's nice and big." And they try to make it okay. It's not okay. It's you know.
The thing about your body,
my whole life.
The thing about your body is, heart disease doesn't care if you love yourself, right?
Yes.
Like the body image shit, like all that stuff is going to beat those people up down the road, and it's going to be rough.
How did you you gained weight? What you were big as a kid, or did you gain it like?
I was up until I was like 19, 20. I was normal weight. In high school, I was like 195. I was a little stocky, but I was never fat. But no, from like 25 to 30, my career was just, I worked from home. So I sat inside. I didn't go out and do anything all day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got into this thing where I gained like 120, 130 pounds. And no, I was never
400.
No, I was like just under 350. That was my high.
Jeff, how old were you when you started realizing that your penis was abnormal?
Maybe 18, 19.
How many years was it before you actually saw your penis?
Well, like I said, I was not a fat kid. I mean, I was just a normal weight. So
But there was a gap of like 8 years, right?
Yeah, from it's like 23 to 30. I had real issues with weight, but it was a random new thing. It wasn't a normal.
Well, here's the sit down podcast. You never really talk about the New England mob, Raymond Patriarca Sr., and the money in the first casinos he had on the commission. And Gotti took advice and look it up too. What would you think?
Yeah, Gotti was very close to Raymond Patriarca.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
They actually would meet at the naval school with the son. They would meet up there. I think his grandson was there at the same time. And actually, a lot of people
on the Hudson.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't aware. There was an individual, Richard Gomes. He was a mobster from that area. And
Redbird,
yep, 100%. He was connected to Gotti through Raymond. I don't talk much about that family just because it's not my area of expertise. I feel like there are people that know that a little bit more than I do. But no, Raymond was very powerful. We'll do a show on him eventually, for sure.
Yeah, Raymond Sr. was close with the old man Neil Delacroce.
Yeah.
Someone just sent me this. They said to me, Lee, for someone who's supposed to be straight, you sure do talk a lot about bathhouses and penises a lot.
Yeah, I will say, Lee, that is something I've noticed about you. You do discuss that a little bit frequent. You said the other day I was talking to you. You brought it up.
Jeff, I'm sorry. That was a classic moment when you did that. I mean,
enamored.
that was one of those moments that shook.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you get Tony V says Joe Barboza took Patriarca down. Is that true? I thought I know he died. He might have died in jail, but he didn't really do a lot of time towards the end of his life, or did he?
Well, I think he means in the case of that stuff that he cooperated on. I mean, Joe Barboza was a rat, right?
But that was in the late 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. He was around till 84, Raymond. And if Gotti was meeting him up at Cornwall on the Hudson, that had to be in the 80s when his son was there. His son was there from like 79 to 82, probably. So,
Someone's asking, did Mario Did Mary Gigante have a relationship with Gregory de Palma? Not that I know of. I mean, they may have known each other, but for anyone that doesn't know, I know, maybe you haven't seen this. I interviewed Jack Garcia. He infiltrated Greg de Palma, FBI agent. He told some really great stories about Greg on my channel. Just some really fascinating things that nobody knows.
Raymond Sr. died in 83 or 84?
Mid 80s, I believe.
Federal Hill Bill, check your stuff, man.
No, I think Finn Creek watches your show, but he still asked this. In 10 years, Jeff will be 5'8" in heels.
Yeah. Well, Finn Freak, when you can achieve the level of status with women that I can, then we can talk. But
July 11th, 1984.
Oh, Silvio says Joe will
Federal
be
Hill.
president. Joe will be president in 10 years from now.
Yeah, I agree. I'll vote for him.
Wait. All I want in 10 years is I hope in 10 years that a certain someone passes the torch and I become the king of Slob Tube. Salute, Slob Tube.
You're already the king of your show. Why do you want to be the king of everybody's show?
It's just we have such a tight relationship. It's a tight bond that has went back, and it's natural. It's like nepotism. I'm his son. He built my show, so he wants to pass it down to me. You know what I mean? That's cool.
Matt, Lee, I'm thinking about moving to Thailand. I've been traveling there for 10 years. Let me tell you something. There's a show on called Foreigner Joe on YouTube. Yeah. And Foreigner Joe is a military man, and he married a beautiful Thailand woman. He built a house there. He built like a $500,000 house for $150,000, brand new from scratch.
It's a great place to be. A good call by that guy.
Yeah, but the only problem is you got to be ready for the heat because the humidity is 100%, 90% of the time, and there's a lot of bugs.
Very tropical, yeah.
Yeah, so if you can get through that, that's like living in Mississippi. I was in Mississippi, and when you open the door, the mosquitoes are waiting for you. They're just there waiting for you. When they see a big guy, they're like, wow.
Lee, someone says, how much do you currently weigh? What is your perfect weight? I weigh 213, and this is about probably where I'll be.
213, that's pretty good, man. I didn't think that's great, man.
I weigh 189 and
kilograms. You're 189 stone.
189 ton.
Stone. How much is this? How much would 189 stone be?
A lot. I
think
stone is close to like 18, 20 pounds. These guys should know. There's some Europeans out there.
189 stone would be 2,646 pounds.
Wow, I belong in that show on TV.
600-pound life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sit down. Jeff and I pick up girls at local group homes. The girls are very easy and slow.
Well, I have 2 requirements to date me. You want to hear them?
What's that?
A pulse?
You have to be an Instagram model or you have to have a BBL. It's the only requirements.
What's a BBL?
Look it up.
BBL.
Means they have a nice ass.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure you don't mean BBC?
No, he has a BBC.
Good one, Lee. Good one, Lee.
Okay.
That's pretty funny, actually.
We're allowed to have a little fun here. There's 166 in the house in the mid-afternoon.
This is one of the.
What did I tell you? I said it would go up once I came on. I knew you were at 120. I said, let me get him up to his quota of 175. Come on, listen. One other thing. Please like and subscribe and comment. And if you do that, I'll call you a stand-up guy. Come on, let's get those likes up. Please. Stand-up guy.
Hey, Lee, this is a fun
on Lee's
show.
behalf.
I'm enjoying this. Good conversation.
Well, yeah. That's why I wanted to claim the afternoon because nobody wanted to claim it. I'll be honest with you.
Hey, good work by you.
And I can go out at night and have 240, 250, but to me, it's more fun in the afternoon. And a lot of people work nights. They're happy with their show on during the day, and a lot of people on MobTube don't have jobs. So Joe's wave. Joe, when's the last time you had a job?
2018.
What did you do?
You know what I did. I collected baseball cards. No, I was in the hardware business. I was a contractor
And why did you leave?
because I decided that I wanted to start a YouTube career, and it kind of coincided with,
Leave.
with it. I just couldn't do YouTube and this. No, why I'm nicer without my cronies, Turd Bird, is because I'm on Lee's show right now, and I really don't want to act up right now because we have royalty in the building, aka Mr. Jeff Nadeau.
Thank you.
And
Jeff said to me, Lee, when I come on, I don't want to be involved with any of that bullshit.
that's what I'm saying. So I understand that. Because really, right now, if Jeff wasn't here and Lee gave me the thumbs up, I'm ready to roll right now.
I can tip one out if anybody wants.
I'm ready to roll.
Oh, we like you here right now, Jeff. Whenever Jeff talks about Boston, he gets a lot wrong. So it's probably the same with the Patriot. Joe, what does he get wrong? I mean, give us an example instead of just putting that shit out there. Seriously, I have not heard him say anything
Well,
wrong.
remember, most people on the YouTube, that it's only wrong if they don't agree with it. Remember that.
Right.
And, I lived in Boston for 2 years. I know Boston quite well. I know the whole combat zone really well and stuff.
Lee,
I'll
I'll tell you right now, if you ask me about do I enjoy talking about the Boston mob, it wouldn't be at the top of my
Hey,
list.
what the hell are you doing?
But I'll tell you what, though, that Boston area was one rough area back in the
For
day.
sure.
You had the Irish, you had the Italians, and it was no joke. I mean, the Irish were very big. It's not like the Irish had a small group like the Westies. The Irish in Boston were huge, And I think everything that Jeff said about the Boston Mob has been correct. And some of you guys just like to talk out of your ass because you just like to you pick and choose who you're gonna like.
Well, either way, I thank that individual for listening and watching. Appreciate it.
Yes, we thank you for listening and watching.
I'm universally liked.
Okay, Joe Cool. I'll even put up another one. Yes, Peter Lamone Joe, the horse savant. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay, MB unemployed. I almost died of laughter. Okay, let's take that down. Okay, Alan Blue. Alan doesn't like me too much, so I want to read what he says. Joey, you're such a much nicer without your cronies. They corrupt you. Fly solo for success, Joe.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to be successful because what is successful? Now, if I jumped on YouTube,
oh my God,
and I met Jeff Nadeau, I met Lee Cole, Jeff Nadeau, Lee Cole. I met some good people. I met some pricks, but I met a lot of stand-up people. So right now, I'm successful right now. If I stopped right now, I could still call Lee. I could still call Jeff. We could talk about things. They can make fun of me. I can make fun of them. So right now, I already won, and I'm already ahead of the game. So thank you.
I think one thing that I've learned about, YouTube is, most of the people that, like people like Joe, Joe just enjoys his life. He's semi-retired. He's made his money, and he's going into different things. A lot of people think they know about people's lives, but the truth is Joe could quit YouTube right now and it wouldn't bother him. I could quit YouTube right now. I don't need it. It's just part of my portfolio. It's not everything I do. There are people that have to have YouTube and they need
right.
to thrive. I think that's the thing about Joe that I respect. He went into something where he didn't know how it would really work, and he's found a lane that he enjoys, and he does what he does.
Joe Cool, once again, what about what you said about Joe Barboza? Didn't know anything about him, or he would have talked about him. Oh, Jeff, shame on you not for knowing everything about everybody. I mean, what type of human being are you?
Yeah, it's funny because during that exact breakdown that he asked about, I made it very clear. I don't know a ton or talk a ton about the patriarchas. I allow other people to do that, people that are from those areas and know those areas. I don't know what you're trying to get at here.
I just found out Joe Barboza, now he's drinking.
Is that a Cristal bottle?
No, it's a full Cristal bottle.
Whoa.
Okay. And this one is a full bottle of DP. Now, how bad
Dom
could I really
Perignon.
be doing when I piss this out?
Dom
That's my
Perignon.
language.
I love that.
When you get to 38,000 subs, we'll crack it open.
And just so you know about Barboza, I just learned about him myself a month ago. I was watching it was, I think Bobby Luisi did a show on it, and I watched it, and that's how you learn. Bobby's from that area, so he knows a lot more about that
He
area.
lied, though. You know, he lied, Joe Barbosa, and he got that guy Peter Lamone. He got a couple of people. The guy did like 40 years in jail and then got exonerated, Peter Lamone.
Didn't Barboza get killed though?
He got killed, yeah, in 1975 in San Francisco.
Yeah, they actually, and that's when the mob was the mob. They sent someone to kill him in San Francisco.
Or it might have been 76, actually. He got killed. They sent them. That's another thing. They tracked them all the way to Frisco, and the guys that did it, I think, were from Boston. So it goes to show
you. Now, this is how you know the mob's nothing like it used to be. Back then, they would send someone to find you anywhere.
Yeah, man.
But, once Gravano ratted, the mob started dying. And once Gravano got out and was out in the open, it hasn't been the same.
Yeah, Chad Donovan. Yep. Yeah, I mean, he lied, basically. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. When you think about it, is it 76? It's easy for informants to lie because you almost like the government is really giving you the playbook. The government really, if they don't really want these guys cooperating and upsetting the apple cart, you know what I mean? They don't want, it would have been, if someone said Sammy the Bull was selling drugs, well, that could upset a lot of things. You know what I mean? So they only want to, but if anybody believes that Gravano was not involved in drugs, come on. That to me is more.
They all were involved in drugs. All were involved in drugs. Every one of them.
I mean, Gas Pipe said it, and it's like Jose Canseco. He ratted on a lot of people, Canseco, and everybody thought he lied, but it came out that maybe he was telling the truth. Well, look at Gravano and Gas Pipe. Gas Pipe said he was a drug dealer. The government said no. He gets out. He gets caught selling drugs. Talk about a slap. It's like you couldn't write that. It was like apropos. Like it was crazy. Gas Pipe must have been like, you didn't believe me, huh?
Well, Joe, this is for you. Joey Loman Batters writes, Joey Bay 8th belongs with the blacks and their culture. That is where he belongs, and he might have some kind of success.
Yeah. Yeah, I have black brothers and stuff. I mean, from my basketball playing days.
What a disgusting comment.
He's all right, though. That guy's okay. He's not.
You know what it is, Jeff? Some people write comments and they don't mean them to be disgusting. They're just trying to be funny.
Yeah, he wants to get acknowledged. So that's good. We acknowledge you.
Yeah, he even changed his name. I mean, and that's Joey Batters. Joey Batters been around forever. It's a shame he's a good stand-up guy, or he would be Troll's Dream, Bay 8th. Good people, we have his back. Correct?
Thank you,
Grant. Back.
And that's all I need. Grant and my girlfriend. You know who my girlfriend is, right?
Who's your girlfriend?
Daddy Dearest. You know who my girlfriend is, Dad.
It's becoming like a stalking thing now. You know that, right?
Yeah. I call you all the time saying, where's your daughter? Is she home? What is she doing tonight? Is she with her husband? The whole thing. I try to just hope.
There's one thing we know. We always know you will not be with your wife. When's the last time you seen your wife?
Me?
How long has it been?
It's been, what time is it right now? I'm going to say 7 hours and 12 minutes.
Okay.
I dropped her off at the ferry this morning. I had a look then.
One of my favorite slob 2 moments, and it was Tony Pizza claiming that he dispatched to kill Sammy. That guy is a character. Okay, let me ask you a question, guys. Tell me what is one of your, starting with you, Jeff, what is one of your favorite moments on YouTube? Let's talk about something positive.
My favorite moments on YouTube
Yeah,
involving
something that
myself
was just
or someone else?
or something funny that you couldn't stop laughing? Or
I mean, I still laugh to this day at that Corrado Soprano Lee Cole thing. I mean, when someone made that video of Corrado watching your
that
show,
was Kane Shade that made that. He did a good job.
it's funny.
My ex-buddy, I miss him.
Yeah, that was funny. But I get a kick out of some of these people, and they're funny. I mean, like that kid BK Shaolin. Like, I know a lot of people hate him, but I think he's like his wordplay he's good. He'd be a good battle rapper. He's funny.
And Joe, tell us some of your favorite moments on YouTube.
One of the funniest moments was when, what's the guy's name? I don't want to call him by the name that everybody calls him. Al, the biased eye. When he had that school teacher on, and the school teacher was like, "Hey Al, how are you?" And he just started laying into him and cursing him out, and he kept going with it too. It was like
he had a stretch where he was just
he just teed off on the guy. He just said hi to him.
Mine was when Josie showed up with the blonde wig. You don't remember that, do you, Joe?
No.
Okay.
No,
I like
with that.
Remember, she showed up with the blonde wig and the potato head next door, and she was having the conversation. Come on,
you
Joe,
remember it, Jeff?
No, I don't actually.
Oh
you got to get a clip of it.
Oh, you got it. It was just fun. That's when her and FBS were going at it. Are they still going at it? I don't even know. I've been trying to, believe it or not, I've been trying to stay out of these things. But I'm not even sure if they're going at it anymore.
Hey Lee, you know
Josie and who?
Huh?
Who's going at it?
Oh, I know you're going at it. You and BK with
No,
with FBS. Yeah, you are.
Well,
I like you guys. You guys replaced me. I feel lost and lonely now. I'm like out of it.
He has his reasons, I have mine, but anything that you guys could dig up on me on YouTube or in my personal life, I would have to take ownership over that. But if everybody took ownership over what they did, then, it would be a lot better. But we try to lie and, can't, I mean, you're going to point the finger at someone, but be careful what you did, But like I said, anything you come up with, yep, I said it. Yep, I did it. Yep. But one thing I didn't do is lie, so.
Tony Montana, asked Jeff and Joe who was the original boss of the Lucchese family in 1931. I bet you only Joe knows this answer.
Gaetano Reina.
Jeff?
Gagliano.
I don't know.
Reina was killed by Vito Genovese back in, I think, 33 or 31, whatever that person's asking. I believe it was Gagliano.
Okay, me and Lee Cole are getting married. Wait a minute. Let me see what you look. Is that you? Early you?
Good for you.
Okay.
Who did I say? I said Tom Reina?
Yeah. Reina was killed in 30. But you're right. He was the original, first. Wow, Lee, you're getting with that chick? She looks beautiful. Good for you.
Well, if she wants, she must not be interested in sex anymore.
Who?
That was a joke, people. That was a joke.
That chick, if that's who she is, that chick is fire.
Lee.
I've always been lucky with women.
Lee, my wife.
Now I'm at the age where I don't give a shit anymore.
My wife just called me right now.
Yeah?
Fucking from your lips to God.
And what did she say? She's watching? Okay. Notice he answers for his wife. The reason they took gas pipe Steele back when he was contradicted Sammy's testimony, it would probably have blown a case for the government, and they were going to take that chance. They weren't going to take that chance. Would you agree with that, Joe? I mean, Joe.
You got to repeat it. I'm sorry.
My phone. I'm looking at something else. Sorry.
Okay. When they took Casso's deal away from him, did the government do it because it would have affected the government's cases?
The government did it because Anthony Casso was talking about Sam Gravano, and Sam Gravano was the chief capo di tutti capi rat. You're not going to talk bad about him to devalue
Right.
their case. So yes, that's 100%. Now he was also doing things in prison he shouldn't be doing, but yeah, they
Yeah,
were not
but-
going to have Casso defame Gravano. He was the king shit at that point.
Mr. Negativity, Joe Cool, I love you, baby. Ha ha, Lee, and those tough names again. Get this comment out of here. Ha ha. No, your comment got put up. Nobody got rid of your comment, Joe. I never claimed to be an expert with names. Okay.
If they would have took Gas Pipe's word for it, all those cases would have been effed up.
Right.
There would have been more reasonable doubt. You would have said, "Wait a minute now, did he really tell the truth?" All you need is reasonable doubt.
I'm surprised he didn't turn up dead, Casso. That's what I thought would have happened. They would have just CIA'd his ass and got rid of him to shut him up.
Because the stuff that he did in jail, well, guess what? That's what people do in jail. You know,
Yeah.
they smuggle in food, they fight, they do drugs,
Right.
I mean, what do people in jail do? They do all those types of things. It's no secret. So I don't know what he did other than.
Perpetual Motion says funniest moment was when Al's mom coming on and he shut his video down. I remember that. That was funny. Turn off that video.
They got some funny stuff on me too. But I do it all for the, I do it all for the camera.
Okay.
You know, I was going to take acting lessons because I was afraid to be on camera.
Lee, I'm going to jump off. I got to go work out. I'll catch you guys later.
No problem. Thank you so much, my man.
Wait 10 minutes?
Well, I usually do it at 4, but
I'm just kidding. I'm breaking your balls.
thanks for
Take
seeing
care.
good seeing you guys. Take it
Thank
easy.
you. I
Yes,
really
Jeff,
enjoyed all
thank
the
you.
information today.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
How long have you been on, Lee? Hour and a half?
An hour and 26 minutes. I'll stay on about 10, 15 more minutes.
Yeah, I got to go to the ferry soon.
The
I got to
ferry?
go pick up my wife, get yelled at, and then I'll be going somewhere.
Well, what did she go into Manhattan or Brooklyn today?
Manhattan, yep.
Shopping?
No, she's working today.
Well,
She had to go in.
Someone's got to work in that house.
What?
Someone's got to work in that damn house.
Yeah, I work. Look at what I'm doing. You think this isn't work? You know YouTube is work.
Well, I enjoy YouTube.
No, I enjoy it too.
Yeah,
It's not hard
I
work.
got to the
but-
point where I stopped doing lives for about 2 months because I was just worn out. I got re-energized, and now I do a lot more lives now. But that's because I decided to do them during the day.
Right.
Doing them at night are very stressful, very, very stressful, because you got to worry about who's coming on, and then you got to worry about people running around starting a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And during the day, you don't get as many morons in your chat room. I mean, you get pretty decent people in your chat room. There's 163 people here, so I'm happy I'm happy with the amount of people I get. I don't need 300 people. 160.
I had 500 last week. So
When was this? You got proof?
yeah, 500. I think you were on the show too.
Oh yeah, I was on the show.
You told me you were like, you lying, swindling, sub buying, view buying piece of crap.
I didn't
I got
say
it on a
that.
deal. It was buy 2 subs, get 5 view free.
No, I said you were set up. Someone did
I was
that to you
set
on
up.
purpose.
Yeah, I don't know where you got that info that I was set up.
It's
I don't
obvious.
know.
It's obvious. Come on. Let me tell you something. In this genre, you never know who's going to do what to you. I mean, there's some really wicked people here. And the people that smile and are the nicest are the ones you usually have to watch the most.
Look, let's just get it out there. You think Tom bought me subs. Okay, that's it. It's as simple as that.
I'm not going
Right?
to say that. You said that.
Okay, I said it. He didn't know.
Okay. Why? Because he
Yeah.
told you didn't? Okay. Chad, you froze up.
It might be for good measure. Now, Chad Donovan's good people.
Yeah.
Chad, you froze up. Try to come back in. Yeah, you definitely froze. No, I'm not going to listen. It was very odd what happened that night. And it was very, a lot of questions had to be asked. It was obvious what was going on. Any layman or anybody with a half a brain could see what was going on. That's what it comes down to, and how it was going on and who was doing it. It was that simple.
Tommy Stiggs used to call me. He used to
Huh?
be my friend. He used to call me, what? You think I don't have emotions? Huh?
You know
think
what it is now that Tommy.
bottomless pit?
You know what it is now that Tommy's the big time. You know,
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
You know what he does? He flexes in front of the camera at 5 o'clock in the morning with a cup of coffee in his hand. What do me and you doing 5 o'clock in the morning? We're sleeping.
I'm up. I'm getting ready to go to sleep in about an hour from then. I'm watching the news.
But we cannot compete against Tommy Stiggs flexing. Admit it.
No.
I mean, the guy got fucking arms like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No way can we compete with him.
And then he's extremely handsome.
Very handsome.
And then he wears his dressing attire. You know, I dress like a slob. You dress like you're 10. And
12 and a half, okay?
You dress like a 12-year-old kid from the South Bronx. And Tommy dresses like a gangster.
Tommy dresses like a swimsuit model. He's got Speedos on. He's got wife beaters on. You know, he's always showing off his muscles and his tattoos. Has it worked? Have you picked up any chicks?
Do you think that Tommy puts on Speedos and looks at a full view mirror in the morning with a cup of coffee in his hand?
Yeah.
Or does he do the Robert De Niro thing where he looks in the mirror and goes, "You talking to me? You talking to me?" Okay.
Yeah. All these people, look, all the flirting that I do on YouTube, right? It hasn't gotten me any women. Like, I didn't pick up any girlfriends or gumads or anything. So obviously I must be terrible looking. But Tommy Stiggs, on the other hand, you know, it's not like I met a girl. I flirt with everyone, but no, yeah, they flirt back, but it's a joke. They look at me as a joke.
I got a funny feeling you could pick up women if you dressed up like an adult.
You think so?
Yes. I mean, you just go for it. Like, wear a nice suit, dress up like Tommy Stiggs. I'll bet you have women all over the place.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I should just take it all off.
No, don't.
I'll lose subs then.
Don't do that on this show, please.
I'll lose subs.
Okay, let's see. Okay, you guys love drama, man. Okay, going to see comedian Vic DiBitetto. Do you know what that is?
Vic DiBitetto.
DiBitetto.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, laughed my ass off watching his YouTube channel. Has anyone else been to his live shows? Have you ever been to his live shows?
No, he's from Staten Island, though, but I never.
Have you ever watched any of his stuff?
Yeah, he's good. Yep. He's really good. He's funny. He's the screaming guy. Remember there was a screaming guy that came on YouTube? What was his name?
Kennison.
No, not Kennison. On YouTube. The guy, he was a Tony Pizza fan. What was his name?
That the guy that used to drive around in the truck.
Yeah, Vic. Vic is like that. Yeah,
and you know something? In 1990, I was in Syracuse, New York, and that night I went to see George Carlin, and it was by the university, the Syracuse.
I'm familiar with up there.
And so I seen him that night, and the women started booing him because he said he made the joke, "What do you call a R victim?" And then he said, "Unwilling sperm recipient." And all the women from the college started booing him. And he looked right at him and said, "Shut the F up. Can't you take a joke? Lighten the hell up." And then they started laughing. But back then, when you were a comedian, you could say certain things. If he ever said that now, he'd be out.
Yeah, I know.
He'd be gone. Or you know, he sat down and he named 100 ways that you can call a man masturbating different names. He listed 100 things like in 2 minutes.
Right.
And then when he had to get the women masturbating, he could only say one thing: stirring the soup. That's all he could say.
Mm-hmm.
But I was honored to see him in concert because I could always say that I seen George Carlin in concert. And if you watch his stuff on YouTube, he was so far ahead of himself. And, you know, what did you think of George Carlin?
I'm not a big fan of his. I just didn't, I'm black, so I like Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, stuff like that. So
the funniest concert I ever seen without a guy cursing would be Jim Carrey.
He doesn't curse?
I know. Years ago. I seen him.
Yeah, he's
live.
hilarious. I love Jim
When he
Carrey.
first came out. I seen him live, and he did a concert. He never cursed one time, and everybody was rolling. They were laughing, and this is when he was not this nut job he is now. He was in his prime. And remember In Living Color?
Of course.
I mean, he had those guys laughing so hard in that show.
That was one of my favorite shows. Yeah.
And for him to come, with the great comedians on that show, for him to get as famous as he did because of that show, and he moved on, it's pretty impressive when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll read a few more here. Let's see. What did Carlo Gambino say? Don't treat me like you treat your wife. Carlo would yell at Joey's sneakers.
Good thing I don't work for Carlo then, huh? Good thing I work for me.
What do you think about your mob name being known as Joey Sneakers?
No, that's not. See, now the truth. I no comment. The truth. Thank you, though. Thank you for the comment. That was a very nice comment.
Lee, what do you think about
baseball? Like, I don't get, the line of people's jokes sometimes it gets a little, but maybe I'm that way too. So I guess I got to take it, right?
Lee, what do you think about baseball making a deal, changing it sucks. Everybody can make the fucking playoffs now. It's the stupidest thing. I remember when you had 3 divisional champions and you had a wild card and you had 4 teams from each league playing. And they started off with best of 5s, went to best of 7s. 4 teams. It's no fun no more. Anybody can make the fucking playoffs now. What fun is that? I mean, they're talking 16 teams making the playoffs. And the owners
because it's the same teams every year, basically. I mean, there's certain teams that never even get close. I guess they're trying to.
And then you're going to have teams winning the World Series that shouldn't be winning the World Series, but they got lucky and got hot at the right time. I like the old days when the Yankees played the Royals in the championship series or something like that. And then right before that, you had the series. You had a 1 5-game series, a 7-game series, and the World Series. And this is what sucks about sports. Greed, people. They want to put playoffs, and baseball's hurting attendance-wise. Why are they hurting attendance-wise? Who the fuck wants to spend $100 to go sit in the bleachers per person?
Right. Yeah. It's expensive. Yeah.
When's the last time you've been to a baseball game, Joe?
A couple of years ago, because, like pre-pandemic, but, like Yankee Stadium, I mean, a hot dog is literally $10 for a hot dog. Like, seriously. And my brother's 300 pounds. So I would take him to Yankee Stadium. On the way to the seats, he would buy 2 hot dogs. You know what I mean? It's like $20. The prices were crazy for stuff.
In 1987, when I lived in New York City, the company I worked for, from Boar's Head, the meat company, Boar's Head gave me 2 tickets for the season because I used to order all the product and the food from them. They gave me 2 box seats at Yankee Stadium that I used to take somebody, and I literally went to 81 games one season. But a guy like me couldn't get those box seats no more. They don't give them to guys like me anymore. They only give them to people that have tons of money in the bank.
I have a 1984 New York Mets yearbook signed by Darryl Strawberry, Rusty Staub on the front, right? And in this yearbook, it has the ticket prices for the next year. I can't find it. I would look. The box seats were like $15.
You could sit out in Yankee Stadium in the bleachers in 1976 for $1.50 in the bleachers behind Reggie Jackson. And Reggie Jackson would always play with the fans and have catch with the fans.
Yeah.
Have fun with the fans. But that was in 76, 77, and 78. I went to so many games, but I used to skip school. I used to go for $1.50 and sit in the bleachers. And most of the people in the bleachers back then were Puerto Rican. And they had that cowbell out there. I don't know if you remember the guy with the cowbell. And he would be bashing that cowbell, and everybody be getting drunk and high. And by the time you left in the 9th inning, you could barely walk to the subway station.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, I got to get going because I don't want to be in trouble. I got somewhere I got to be tonight.
Well, you go get your wife.
I got
Deal
where I
with your
got
wife, and then I'm going to say goodbye to everybody here. You take care,
Thank
Joe.
you
Thank
guys.
you for showing up.
Lee, I appreciate it because I thought you didn't want me on your show anymore, but that's great.
That's besides the point, Joe.
I know.
I'll never hold that against you, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank everyone in the chat, and thanks, Lee. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Oh, wait. How's your dog doing, Lee?
She's doing good now. She's here. She's had some blood tests done. We just had a liver blood test done to check her enzymes and stuff and her heart and stuff. And those tests will be back Monday. So that'll tell us. We're hoping that there was, with the first blood test, her liver was a little bit off in her blood count. So we're going to hope it was just a freak thing.
All right, bro. Well, thank you. Have a good one, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, people, I like to say thank you so much for being here. This was a fun show. Jeff showed up, gave us a lot of information. We put the challenge out to Anthony Raimondi, not to back out, to do what he's, his tickets paid for. There's no excuses for him not to show up for the debate. So now, but he is getting cold feet. Everybody feels it. Let's hope he shows up so we can give you guys all something special. Besides that, please like this video if you have not liked it yet. And if you want to donate to my Cash App, it's underneath here. I don't put it up or run it. I feel kind of silly doing that. And to those people that have helped me financially with Polly, thank you so much. And because of what you guys have done, you probably saved her life, because there's a lot of things I wouldn't have been able to do financially. It's very hard. Somebody said, why have a dog if you can't afford it? Nobody can afford to have a dog. You have to make a decision when that dog gets older, whether it lives or dies. Sometimes you could save the dogs if you're rich and you have $3,000 and your dog's sick, but a lot of people don't have that kind of money to spend on an animal. I would do anything I can to save Polly, but I will also not let her suffer. But thank everybody. I really appreciate everything you've done. And I'll be back with a live tomorrow. We have a couple surprises this weekend. And thank you all.